take us back. We're going to dive into the basketball stuff in just a moment, but take us back to where you're from and what got you on this path of coaching. Were you a former athlete? Did sports kind of save your life? Talk to us about how you got here.
So I'm from Saginaw, Michigan.
Sag nasty, man.
I'm from Saginaw, Michigan, Sag nasty. We we call it the motherland of basketball.
Nice.
I tell my son that's the motherland of basketball for us. But I come from Saginaw, small town. Come from a family of 4 or 5, and mom and dad, hardworking people, and but my dad introduced me to basketball, and I would say my dad, and I would give a lot of my credit to, you go even further and give some credit to my grandfather.
Awesome.
So my grandfather worked in the plant, worked for GM in the plant. But for whatever reason, before I was born, he decided to put a basketball hoop on his garage, on the garage, and all I can remember is just that was the only hoop on the block.
Yeah.
Everybody on the block was coming to play at Granny's house.
Yeah.
And we spent a lot of our time over my grandmother's house, especially in the summer, staying the night with all our cousins and stuff. But I can remember just waking up in the morning and just hearing the ball bouncing.
Yeah.
And it was just one of the neighborhood kids just out there shooting around. So our spot was the place to play.
Yeah.
And so that kind of helped me create the interest. But then my dad was he was also like a middle school coach. He was a middle school coach at Arthur Eddy back in Saginaw. And he was a middle school coach for Arthur Eddy, but then he also had ties to Saginaw High School. Head coach Marshall Thomas. He's no relation. We get that question all the time. But so I found myself always in my dad's practice.
Yeah.
I also always found myself with my dad at Saginaw High's practice all the time, at all their games, all the basketball games. I found myself over Coach Marshall Thomas's house a lot with my dad. They were talking basketball. I was just playing around. And we also had an AAU program.
Nice.
Called Saginaw Pride. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that. But
nice.
Some of the most legendary players that came through Michigan, and especially Saginaw, played in that program. But that program was started and ran by my AAU coach, Reggie Robinson. Reggie Robinson kind of put the ball in my hand, or put the team aspect of basketball into my hand. A lot of skill sets. Here I am finding myself again on the bench watching these star players play for Saginaw Pride. I'm the manager. I'm 3 or 4 years old, but I'm the manager for Terrence Roberson. I don't know if you guys know about Terrence. He's on that team. I'm the manager of Jesse Drain. I guess he used to be here he played at Ottawa for 1 year back in the 90s, and then went back to Saginaw.
Okay.
So here I am as a manager, or a water boy, you call it. And not knowing, as I look at these pictures now, like these old pictures and stuff, I'm starting to look at these pictures and I'm like, man, that's the reason why I was always around basketball. Like, I'm starting to realize all the people that I've been connected with as far as basketball goes.
It didn't hurt to be around some great basketball players as well, right?
I was lucky, man. I'm telling you, if you were anything in Saginaw, you had to play for Saginaw Pride.
Gotcha.
Like, so Coach Reggie Robinson, he touched a lot of those special Saginaw players coming up, and I wasn't that good in high school. I was just, I played behind a lot of those guys. But after I graduated college and things like that's where my story kind of started for me as far as basketball goes.
Awesome. Really quickly, a couple Saginaw people I want to give some love to. I got some Saginaw roots, and I'm gonna just run down my list. I'm gonna start with Charles Rogers. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
That's my bro.
I need a moment for him, man.
That's my twin.
Just 1 second.
We played at Michigan State together, but
really?
he was near and dear to me. They called me Baby Chuck. They thought we looked alike.
Man, you do.
So that's like my big bro. But Jeremiah McLaurin,
J Mac, yes sir.
Lamar Woodley.
Good dudes.
Draymond Green.
Yes, sir. I actually coached Draymond my first year back. I was a JV coach.
Nice.
And I was an assistant to Lou Dawkins. And he still ran his mouth.
I don't know if Monquez Wedlow was.
Yeah. I played. He a little older than me. Played quarterback.
Yep.
He a little older. Good dude.
Good dude.
This was a great
He played linebacker
era.
for us at Michigan State.
Was he captain?
Yeah, and he was our captain.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
My list of Saginaw people is very, very long, and that's like a second home to me. And so I just wanted to salute them when you talked about that.
Come on,
I'm
baby.
looking like they all talk about Saginaw pride, so they had to come through that. And so,
Yeah, those were the days, man. We had some during that time. You know, you naming all those guys. There's some more guys. You know, Jason Richardson and all those guys. Like that era of basketball or just athletes was amazing, man.
So what year you graduate?
I graduated in 2001.
So you graduated with us.
Yeah,
we all 01. Yeah.
So, okay, there we go.
Did you play football?
You know, watch this. This my football story. This is my football story. We're gonna put it out there. This Coach Direct gonna be on here. I know he gonna see this on Facebook.
We gonna send it to him.
I love you too, Coach. And I'm just tell you right now, man. You know, well, first things first. I played 1 year of football, my 10th grade year. I was receiver and cornerback. We had the best JV team of Saginaw High football. If you can claim JV football, I'm claiming it. We only lost 2 games. It was great game, great scores. But I just couldn't sit in the cold, man, and sit behind Charles Rogers, man.
Man, you just talked about that.
I am a receiver, and I knew right away that I probably would never get the ball thrown.
It's not coming your way.
It ain't coming my way. And yeah, Coach D, that was my reason I didn't play. Even though you begged me, you said I was a good cornerback and all that stuff, but man, I wanted to score touchdowns, man. That was my reason for not playing, man. So.
That's what's up.
That 99 team,
Yeah.
so that's our junior year. So they went to the state that year.
Yeah.
So I talked, J Mack said they had like 10 D1 players
Oh, yeah.
on that team.
Yeah.
Terry Jackson was a
Terry
team.
Jackson, Roy Manning,
man.
Marcel and Jamel Dillard went to Grand Valley here. Kirk Caruth went to Grand Valley here. Anthony Roberson played football, but basketball.
For Florida. He went to Florida.
Ronald Stanley. He
played linebacker for us at Michigan State.
Otis Washington went to Vanderbilt. Rest in peace to Otis. He a class of 01 as well. Then the list goes on.
Yeah, Saginaw was loaded, man.
It was loaded, man. I'm telling you, that
Coach
was.
Michael was with the Dogs.
That's what I was saying. I was on the bench, man.
But I'm saying who you grew up with and who was.
Yeah.
Because we 01, so obviously we know.
Yeah.
And then you know everybody that was before you, 2000,
Yeah.
99.
Yeah.
Then after, you know what I'm saying? That's awesome, man.
So just looking at it, like you was talking about your journey, it's like you was around the game. So my experience is playing in the NFL. It's been a time where in a moment as athletes, we had to stand and do a lot of watching.
Yep.
Yeah.
Observing. So when I spent my time in the NFL, you know, I was on the practice squad. I didn't play it much, only got a few reps, but I watched greats in front of me. So like you said, you watching these high school greats and you around the coaches and stuff like that, and eventually you picked up. So what are some of those habits that you picked up at an early age when you knew? Because I know you probably knew, like in high school, like, hey, one day I want to be a high school head coach. I'm assuming that. So what are some things that you picked up from that high school head coach or assistant coach and said, hey, man, I'm going to add this once I be a head coach? These are some of the things that, you know.
So let me go back to, like, I didn't even know I wanted to be a coach. It just kind of happened, you know.
Wow.
I'm gonna just tell you how my whole life has just been based off faith.
Yeah.
Like just really been, you know, with faith. Like even just picking to go to Albion College. Like I had never heard of Albion. I had never, but only thing I knew is that here I am around these great guys. Right, I'm around these, you know, the Anthony Robersons, the Chargers, the Eugene Seals, and all of Tenor, all these guys, and they're getting highly recruited. All I know is I wanted to be recruited. You know what I'm saying? But it's hard to get recruited when you don't. You know, I played freshman and I played JV my sophomore year, and then I played varsity junior and senior year. Didn't really play as much my junior year. I started my senior year. I still played, you know, All-Americans or whatever, but it's kind of hard to kind of get recognized by those things when you're playing with those guys. But at the same time, I didn't know it until after hell, I was finished playing and graduated. But I didn't know that the Lord was just training me to be who I am today. You know,
that's awesome.
So I would, you know, again, I didn't play a lot. So right now as a coach, you got to have thick skin. You have to have an understanding, because you're gonna have those conversations with the kids that don't play a lot,
right?
And you have to kind of, for me at least, like, I don't really necessarily give in. I don't feel bad, but I do feel bad because I was in that position. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, I was in that position. Hey, I was the short guy that couldn't get many minutes and things like that. And it's okay. And I want them to understand that it's okay. And so some of the things that's another thing that I've learned, you know, as far as just learning what a coach is supposed to be, just how to carry yourself.
Yeah.
You know, I've been lucky enough to have some great guys to coach me. And so a lot of times in my everyday life, even just with parenting or any hard decisions, the thought that comes to my head are coaches.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What would they do?
Yeah.
What would they do in this situation? And so I've been blessed to have guys like Marshall Thomas, Reggie Robinson, Mike Turner at Albion College. You know, I've been lucky to play for those guys, because they were some great men.
Yeah.
They held us accountable. They were always on time. They treated people the right way. They had a good heart. They were willing to spend their time away from their family with me, and that's something that I had to learn too. As a coach in high school, like, we don't get rich as coaches. You know what I'm saying? You got to really want to do this. You got to really care about this.
There you go.
And so, for me to make coaching or kids a part of my everyday life, you have to really love it, and your significant other have to have an understanding as well. And I just take my hat off to my significant other who is on my staff too. You know, I have to get smart enough to bring her on my staff if I'm gonna be spending a lot of time here and things like that. So I hope I answered that question. I can get
that's real.
That's good. I like that too. I want to ask, like, are those guys you named, who's had the biggest impact on your coaching career, and does your coaching style resemble one of those guys more than another?
I think you'll see a little bit of everybody.
Okay.
You know, I think it goes back to answering the first part of that question, but I took away my experience. From my experience, this is what I took away from it. Coach Marshall Thomas, I love you. Don't get mad at me. I'm gonna give you a big hug when I see you. But I didn't like how Coach didn't like how everybody. He only had like 2 or 3 people, maybe 2 people, shoot the ball.
Yeah.
I wasn't one of the ones that he liked. So as a coach, I was like, well, I want to try to coach. Yeah. I don't want my team to feel like that.
Yeah,
I want all my players to feel like that. So I want to try to create a system that's fun for everybody.
That's good.
But watch this. But I see why Coach did it, because not everybody is offensively talented. So then I would start cutting some of those things back, like, hey, man, I don't want you taking that shot. Right. But I can, you know, so it's kind of like a give and take. You know what I'm saying? My defense, you know, it comes. That's where we from, Saginaw. We love defense. We love it. You know what I'm saying? We bleed it. And Marshall Thomas he implemented that into everybody in Saginaw. I mean, to this day, that's what we talk about. You know what I'm saying? And so, if you watch my teams over the last 10 years or whatever, every team is, I'm a defensive guy. Our identity is defense.
Gotcha.
And so that's where that comes from, that toughness, that tenacious defense, ferocious. Yeah. Those are some of the words that Coach Thomas used. Just stuck in me. You know what I'm saying?
There you go.
Yeah, so, but, you know, Mike Turner over at Albion College taught me a more understanding of the game, you know, team game. They broke the game down, and to me, they broke the game down into its simplest form.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I noticed that when I went to first practice, I noticed how the practice plan was very detailed. So in my mind, it was like, hey, if you don't get this, and you're not a very good basketball player, and I've seen a lot of kids not get it, but that goes back to how I was taught coming up. You know, we were actually taught how to run an offense. We were actually taught some of the nuances of the games because of the guys like Reggie Robinson who took their time to just sit in the gym with us 2-3 hours a day in the summer to just really teach us, not just teach us how to play, but understand how to play.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of that stuff comes from. And then my where I started from, you know, my AAU program. I also forgot to mention someone too. He's gonna get mad too. But Poo Poo Epperson. He was my elementary coach. Coach Poo, Coach Pops, and Coach Poo. That's actually where you know, I was blessed to go to like a HBCU elementary that was considered like a HBCU that had all types of different activities. We had a black principal. We had black teachers. We had black coaches, and I think a lot of, you know, Charles Rogers went to that school as well. And I think a lot of the guys that came up in that elementary school are successful. And I think it was because of the foundation, the foundation that was implemented in us. They taught us how to use our mind creatively. You know, so a lot of the things that we do is are innovative thinking, but we learned that at a young age. You know, we were just blessed to have those young men. I mean, those men as mentor to teach us. So.